Well, hello and welcome. Well, today we are talking at NPP's perceived internal wranglings. The steering committee of the opposition party today had a meeting in the absence of Paul Apoko, the chairman, and Kennedy and Mr. Japon, who's the general secretary. And it sounds all a little bit bizarre. Yes, according to the constitution, it's all right. But then it makes you wonder, did the number one and number two, when they are aware of the events that were going to happen tomorrow, i.e. the vetting, how come they were all, out of scene when such an important meeting had to be held? Indeed, when was the last time they had a steering committee meeting, and what was said then? It's all bizarre. But we're going to try and untangle this thing. There are two schools of thought. One who thinks that this has never happened before and therefore there's something wrong. And there's another school of thought who thinks, as the Constitution allows us to do this, so there's no cause for alarm. I have with me in the studio John Boadu, the national organizer, and Dr. Theophilus Richardson will join us later. By the end of the hour, we will know what actually happened today. My name is Nana Sakwao, and this is PM Express. Don't move. Well, thank you very much for staying. And as I heard in my intro, today the steering committee of the National Patriotic Party held an emergency meeting. And it's an emergency because from tomorrow, Tuesday, they're going to start vetting. And some modalities had to be put in place. And therefore, they had to hold the meeting today. Now, what's bizarre about it is that the chairman and the general secretary were not available. So one asks, were they aware of the events that were going to happen tomorrow? And if they were, what did they do about it? Indeed, were they even aware of a meeting today? On Joy FM today, General Secretary claims that he has no clue there was a meeting going on today. I'm going to start talking. Let's take an insight of what the first vice chairman, Mr. Freddie Bliss, said to set the pace, and then I'll start talking.
We can organize a meeting in accordance with the Constitution. The steps that we are taking, if they are legitimate, if they are constitutional, they are good steps.
But couldn't they have been consulted before the meeting was held?
You wouldn't know whether we consulted. Yes.
I spoke to Mr. Japon a while ago. He says he knows nothing about this meeting.
Please, I am saying that you've spoken to him. You are speaking to me. I said he was aware of this meeting. I even wrote to him to ask him to organize this meeting.
But we understand, yes. Information we are picking up is that the national chairman, Mr. Paul Apoko, who is not in the country anyway, had slated another meeting for Thursday after the parliamentary.
This one is an emergency meeting. So slating some meeting for the 12th, it doesn't make any difference. The meeting will come on all the same. It makes no difference. This is an emergency meeting, and we are about to issue a statement on that. It reflects on the ongoing primaries and what we are supposed to be doing. And we considered it extremely important to have an emergency meeting to do that.
Is it because we're not able to have your vetting today?
I don't know. Come again?
I mean, what triggered the emergency meeting? Is it because, as a result of your inability
That's
to
not the case.
Today? What triggered the emergency meeting?
Well, the emergency meeting is not today. It's been, we have asked earlier on that there were a few issues that we needed to consider. Who is supervising, who is in charge here, and the steering committee had not had the opportunity to be briefed properly on that. That's why we consider there was a need for an emergency meeting.
There's a certain history to all this stuff.
Hold on. Let me finish first. So the chairman was not around. They couldn't have the emergency meeting before he left. The Constitution allowed a meeting to be organized in his absence, and we did that. That's what was attended. There's supposed to be a quorum for the meeting. Is supposed to be 7 members. We have 9 people attending this meeting. Very interesting and good decision have been taken for and on behalf of the party. That's what has been done.
But what could have triggered such a meeting? Couldn't it have
saying emergency? Look, not tomorrow. Today, we had it today. Because we've already started, we've already indicated that from today, tomorrow, or the next day, certain things are being done. That is, vettings are taking place in various sectors. So there is a need maybe to have this meeting so that a few things that we think ought to be done in addition to what has been put in place should happen. That's exactly what we had this meeting for.
And we are picking up information again.
And
all this is
speculative.
Mr. Freddie Blay,
Yes.
Freddie Blay, all this talk and discussion about some division in the party is coming on the back of happenings.
I'm glad you said they are speculative.
Happenings over the
what?
past month. At Otiko, Afisa Jaba was not here, Kwame Japan was not here, the national chairman himself was not here.
Yes.
Doesn't this point further to deepening cracks in the steering committee?
We all need not be present. Sometimes it's good, perfect. It's ideal for them all to be here. But if one or two or three have traveled and the meeting can take place, why not?
Well, thank you very much for staying. I guess that sets the premises for our discussion today. Well, John, you're welcome. And as a traditional ruler, all first time I charge them Amanta Musa.
That's why in your kingdom you have Jantwa
to sort the issue out.
Famous is around and he's going to help me. Yeah. Thank you very much, and I'm pleased to be on your program.
Well, I'm grateful that you could make it too. I'm grateful that you could make it too. But I'm so hope you can help us unravel some of these things. There is something wrong. Something is just not right, John.
No, there's nothing wrong. You see, when you were even mentioning the name of my party, you said National Patriotic Party.
There's a new Patriotic Party.
New Patriotic Party. There's nothing wrong. Most often than not, we are not used to the constitutions of political parties. I think that we must, as a matter of interest, get to know the workings of political parties, their constitution and all that. If that is clear, then you wouldn't see anything wrong with what happened. The party is a party that have rules and regulations. The party is run by the steering committee of the party. And if you read 9 that talks about the national organization of the party, you look at 9.1, I1 that talks about steering committee of the National Executive Committee. There shall be a steering committee of the National Executive Committee, which shall be responsible for overseeing daily management of the party and shall act on behalf of the party on urgent matters. The steering committee shall report on its activities to the National Executive Party. So in effect, strictly speaking, the running of the party, overseeing the daily activities of the party is done by the steering committee. Since the steering committee is made up of almost about 11 members, they can't always be there. Just as a company, you have board of directors who are responsible for the running of the organization. Since they all cannot be there at all times, they have management in place that do the daily activities of the company and reports to the board. It means that since this is a daily management thing, there must be periodic and regular meetings of the steering committee that receive reports of what goes on every day. If you look at the national secretariat of the party, it is headed by the general secretary, myself, and the directors of the party. You understand? So these are the roles of these organs. This meeting was necessitated or orchestrated as a result of the emergent important assignment that is before us.
Which is tomorrow, Tuesday.
Tomorrow, Tuesday, vetting is going around throughout the country by people who have applied to become candidates of our party. For some time now, the truth is that the last time we had a steering committee was 20th of March, 2015.
That's not very periodic, is it?
It is not. we've not been able to have specific period for having such meetings. But by the arrangement of the Constitution, it is the national chairman that calls for it. So if he decides not to call for it, then it means that members of the steering committee, which is made up of the national chairperson, the vice chairpersons, the flag bearer, or the presidential candidate, parliamentary leader, chairperson of the National Council, and the other elected officers may not know what exactly is going on. You understand? So, considering such an important event, which is the last leg of the internal elections of our party, parliamentary candidates, but all elections are local. When we get that aspect wrong, we've gotten everything wrong. You understand? So some of us believe that there was a need, and for me, I've been national youth organizer before. I used to be national youth treasurer of the party before. It hasn't happened that you are going for a parliamentary election. The steering committee will not know the arrangement that has been done, who is representing the party. Because if you look at the vetting committee, it is made up of constituency vetting committee made up of 3 people: the constituency council of elders chairman, the election committee officer, and an elderly woman, respectable woman, from the constituency, complemented by a rep of the region and that of national. You understand? So national must have reps on these constituency vetting committees. So it is important that all officers are aware of what is going on. So to be frank with you, a letter requesting for an emergency steering committee was put to the chairman last week, Thursday. Unfortunately for us, he was traveling. Nobody knew. Until the letter went, we realized that he was traveling. The vetting is coming on today, tomorrow next. So we realized that if the chairman is absent from the country, based on their own constitution, 7 members of the steering committee forms a quorum chaired by the chairman, and in his absence, the vice chairman can call for such a meeting.
I'm going to take a break, and I just want to find out if the chairman was leaving the country fine. I mean, he's not a prisoner, he can leave, but did he not tell the general secretary anything that, look, you know, on Tuesday, such an event is coming, having been able to hold a meeting, can you do that on my behalf? Stay tuned, I'm coming. Well, thank you very much for staying. Let me say welcome to Dr. Theophilus Richardson, a political scientist, and we're already having a discussing with John Boydu, national organizer for the new Patriotic Party, not national. But just before the break, I just wanted to find out if by any chance when Paul Afoko, the chairman, was leaving, might have let a little memo to say, look, on the 5th of May, you know, such an event will happen, and therefore, General Secretary, could you call a meeting on my behalf? Or?
Yes, he might have left a note that he was traveling. He did indeed, because when the call for the emergency meeting came up, then we realized that he was leaving for UK. General Secretary on his own had also done an arrangement already by agreeing with the regional chair or the regional party of centers to be created for the vetting, and have selected some other personnel to represent the party. The only thing the national officers, that's members of the steering committee, was asking for was that they weren't aware of that arrangement, and there's a need for that meeting. You understand? So it is not, because if you look at even the statement that
it
came
says
out,
that further to arrangement already in place for the various vetting committees and vetting centers for the party's parliamentary primaries, sent out by the General Secretary, the committee decided that the following national officers shall be assigned to various regions to be responsible for the overall conduct of the vetting process and any challenges that may emanate therefrom. So the places where they didn't elect national representatives.
No, you see, because we had about 26 centers, the national officers or national steering committee members are just about 13. You understand? So we have senior members of our party, who are sent out to represent the party from the national level. That arrangement has been done. What this meeting did was to send national officers to be in charge of the region. For instance, in Central Region, we are setting up 3 centers. Aguna Swedro will take care of constituencies, Senya, East, West, Gomoa, and all that, the surrounding constituency. You take that of Cape Coast, you take care of KE, Infantsiman, the surrounding constituency. Then one center is at Asimfusu, you understand? That will take care of the Inchira East and the Inchira West, Asin North, Asin Central, Asin South, there. So now national, for instance, in the Central Region, I'm in charge of Central Region now. I'll be moving to make sure that everything is done correctly. If there's any issue to be addressed, you address it immediately without waiting for them to finish their work and come to the headquarters. So that's what was done. So it is not about doing anything different from what has been done. First of all, to brief members of the national officers what has been done already, and in addition to that, take a view that there's a need for national officers' presence in the various regions in order to resolve challenges as it arises without waiting for it to take a bigger or a longer period for it to be done. If you look at the second point is only re-emphasizing the constitutional provision of our party that talks about the need for parliamentary aspirants to be aware that, or to remind them that it is their obligation as party parliamentary candidate to satisfy constitutional executive, the regional executive committee, and the national executive committee that the conditions stipulated in Article 11.4 have been fulfilled, and any application which does not comply with these conditions shall be rejected.
Is this because the General Secretary has, waived the fee of certain candidates who couldn't come up with the 30,000, and then he decides, well, I've waived the 30,000. The party is thinking, no, you can just unilaterally just sign and waive of this, and therefore, the constitution. If this is what the party has decided, that we're going to charge 30,000 for people who are aspiring for parliamentary candidates, you don't waive.
Now, what was happening was that, let's say 2 people are contesting in a constituency, even in the constituency where there is a certain member of parliament. By virtue of the fact that I'm youthful, I have a rebate of 50%. Mm-hmm. You are not youthful. You are paying 30,000 because you are contesting in a certain member of parliament. Then the General Secretary waives 50% of my 50% that has been waived already. Obviously, it's in a contest, it's about resources and all that. So we are receiving a lot of complaints and petitions by co-aspirants. For instance, you have a constituency where 3 or 4 people are contesting, one applies for a waiver, and it is granted. You understand? And all that. But the only point we are making in this statement is that all these waivers are done by the National Executive Committee. If you remember, I quoted to you that steering committee act on behalf of the National Executive Committee on urgent matters. So what will happen by this statement is that vetting process will go on. General Secretary will compile all the waivers that has been given. When the National Executive Committee is called, he goes before the National Executive Committee, give reasons for this waiver or that waiver that was given. If it is wholly accepted by the National Executive Committee, that's it. If National Executive Committee, in their wisdom, think that, for this constituency, considering the candidates and his capabilities and abilities, we think that if we are not careful, we'll give him advantage over maybe the sitting member of parliament or over his other colleagues. It means that this, we cannot waive it. Then it will be done. There are even few constituencies that, for instance, in a Kumfi constituency, as far back, there's about 3-4 days before the closure of nomination, the candidate that contested that constituency had not come up. the constituency people feel that he's the candidate to that need to contest, and they think that he will do better than all other candidates, considering their own local dynamics and all that. This is a constituency that, as a party, national executive can decide that based on the statistics on the ground, the local dynamics on the ground, we are even poaching him. We will not allow you to pay any filing fees. All these things are done. So if you look at the second point that we raise it to calm down the nerves of contestants who feel discriminated against, that it is not an end in itself, that the National Executive Committee will receive report from the General Secretary and go through, and that will be the basis for determining whether there's a need for a waiver. So if you look at the issues clearly, there's nothing so untoward, where there's nothing that has changed any decisions of the party made already and all that. But because of maybe lack of understanding of some of these issues, and the fact that, and it is true, the fact that, if I remember, we hardly had an emergency steering committee meeting in the absence of the chairman. And obviously, it should call for this. And I think that for constitutional practitioners, some of these things, as we move on, will come up.
Dr. Richardson, what is it? A coup d'etat? Are we sidelining number one, number two? And in case, if you agree that they are sidelining it, why is number one and number two not aware of such an event tomorrow, so they make all necessary preparations before one goes to London and the other goes to eat fufu?
I thought that we were going to, this is an internal matter that we were going to have a discussion with me. Only that Dr. Richardson, as I know, will also impute into what. Well, maybe it will be for good measure. Maybe.
It will. I trust.
I've been invited here as an academic.
Oh, okay.
Or as a political scientist.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But more than that, I'm a Ghanaian. I may be oriented towards a political party. And even if I'm NPP, I do not speak for NPP. I'm not a member of your communication team.
Oh, okay.
But I'm entitled to be a member of any political party.
Including the new
For that
Patriotic
matter,
Party.
NPP.
Okay.
Or the new Patriotic Party. I don't know what should be my starting point. But given the state, or given what has happened in the party since the last national executive elections, or whatever, Congress, and the animosity and bitterness that characterize the party, and the fact, I mean, this reinforces the point, the perception, or in fact the fact that those who were opposed to one another are not yet reconciled. They are unreconciled. It doesn't mean that they are irreconcilable, but the two main camps, or the big camps in the party, are still unreconciled. And I don't think it is good for a party which has gone into elections and lost 2 elections, and is keen to wrest political power only about 1.5 years from now. I don't think it's good for that party. The chairman of the party, if he had made plans, long before this event to travel, well, was entitled to travel. But if the general secretary was around and he was not unwell, and both of them were aware of this, the timetable for vetting and all that, then it leaves much to be desired. I mean, it gives room for all kinds of speculation. I'm saying it's not good for the unity and the strength of the party, and I think the party must do something about it. If the party goes to the next election and is unable to win political power, I can't spell out what the likely implications could be. But I think there are many who are in the party who I suspect have taken things for granted, that, we have this agenda don't win power and the party can still hold together. I'm afraid. You must be very careful. I want to comment on a few things. One of them is the fee waiver, the fees and the fee waiver. The last time we were here, I was here with there was no opportunity to comment on this. But the fact that sitting MPs were asked to pay 10,000 and competitors were asked to pay 3 times as much, 30,000, was in the first place discriminatory.
Oh, yes.
Okay, and it
discrimination.
Yes, and it was such a bad idea, in the sense that I think the whole thing was not properly thought through.
Why is it a bad idea?
It was a bad
the
idea
guy is
because
already an MP. He's there. He's sailing fine.
Yes,
you need to adjust the thing to give him that peace of mind.
No. The guy is there. He may not be doing well, or he may be doing well, but there may be some problems, on the ground about his own candidature. People in the last election, people vote for candidates not because they love the candidate, but they love the party and they want to make sure that the party wins the seat. But the fundamental reason behind this was this: that the MPs contribute, every month a certain amount to the party's budget, okay, or coffers. Is that not so? And therefore, those who are coming have to pay something in recognition of what MPs have been paying. Now, assuming I win the candidature and win the seat to become an MP, I will make my contributions anyway, wouldn't I? So, paying 30,000 before I win to become an MP amounts to what we call double jeopardy. I've been sentenced twice, okay, and that I thought was unfair. This has created some unease or ill feeling among those who thought that were not for these 30,000, we could have.
Let's come back to the emergency. Let's come back to the emergency meeting today.
And what we have learned is that there have been even fee waivers, and fee waivers on the grounds that if you were a youthful person, then you were supposed to be given some advantage over somebody who is not a youthful person. Assuming when the party was formed, I was 30 years, and in 1992, when people could not just, venture out, come out to say that we are for NPP against the almighty NDC. You put your life at risk by identifying with NPP. I was 30 years. And for some reason, okay, I could not come out to contest, but now I'm in a position to contest. Then you use this age criterion against me. I think that
rules and regulations will change. But I wanted you to comment on the emergency meeting.
For now, I don't think it's fair. For the emergency meeting, all right, there was a timetable, or there has been a timetable. The executives are aware of the timetable. I don't know how urgent that travel was, but that the chairman of the party had to travel.
He was going to supervise UK elections or something, or be an observer. I think it's quite an important travel. It adds credibility to the party.
Cannot stop the steering committee from.
I think John Gwadi doesn't agree with me.
No. He's traveled.
I don't know that as a fact whether
he was going to supervise
some. But there's another delegation that has gone to do that.
Yes, but John Gwadu was hesitant in his response when you asked him. Said he used might be aware and something arrangements have been put in place. It is the absence of the general secretary. That is a lot more worrying. And he, I don't know what reason is put forward so far, but he said that he's not aware that that's what I think, that a meeting was coming up. I think the meeting has been held. We know that it reinforces the fact that the party there is some division within the party, or there are certain individuals whose positions have not.
Let's find out from John. There was always this news. It was in the news all over that the number one, number two were more pro Chairman Ting, and then the rest of the team were more pro Nanado. Could this be some of the things simmering, that number one, number two are not playing ball because it's amazing how they had a high-powered delegation, all sat there without number one, number two. You read
what do you regard as number one?
Well, the chairman and the general secretary.
Number one, number two.
How would
that's the point that I was coming to.
No, it's
actually.
number one, number two. What
I mean,
does that mean?
the chairman is the head of the party, and then the general secretary sort of, the next in
You
line.
see,
The chairman is not number one. The general secretary is not
sometimes because of.
No, but with regards to these meetings, steering committee meeting,
there's no point to even further interrogate that. The point to the meeting is that in the absence of the national chairman, the first vice
will act.
Yes.
I agree.
And it is stated clearly that in the absence of the national chairman, the first vice can call for a steering committee meeting. The presence of the general secretary would have been perfect. But he had a funeral during the weekend. He was in Kranza. He couldn't have come to the meeting. Just as all other meetings we've had
No, but
over
he
the
said he
period.
wasn't aware.
You see, this is well, maybe, but I know that he wasn't in Accra. He wasn't.
John, excuse me. Let's face it. If he has, given this the reason for his absence at the meeting that he wasn't aware, let's face the bullet. Okay, let's face the fact. It is no news
for me.
No, but he's not
Let me
happy.
tell you. I received notice to the meeting just as I received notice to all meetings through the same platform. I received a text message, which everybody received. You understand? I'm not here to. It is nothing to argue about. The fact of the matter is that this meeting has been held. It is constitutional. Decision of the party has been taken in furtherance to other arrangement that has been made. In addition to that, other arrangements that were affecting people on the ground, complaining about discrimination or all others, has also been stated.
John, but why is he not happy?
Who is not happy?
Mr. Japan is not happy.
But I'm not here, please. I'm not here discussing the general secretary. I'm here discussing the party. As for whether he's happy or not, it's a matter that I have spoken with him. He has expressed his views. I have also expressed my views. This is something that can always be done and can always. It's not a question of being happy or not.
But the question I was leading to
the propriety of the meeting,
exactly,
the decisions that has been arrived, and the need for us to implement the decision to make sure that we get the right candidate to represent the party.
So that brings back to my question is, I mean, for what you're explaining is so laudable. We are going to have a meeting. We need to have a representative there representing the executives, and so why would the general secretary not be in full support of such a cause? I mean, there's nothing wrong with it.
I don't know. For instance, if maybe in his view, we should have waited for, because just as the notice for the emergency meeting came, we received another notice from the chairman saying that the same committee meeting will be held on the 12th of May. That is, your news was talking about Thursday. There was nothing like that. It's Tuesday next week. At that time, all this vetting process, if we had gotten it wrong, we've gotten it wrong. You understand? And there's nothing wrong in us as national officers meeting to look at the process. Even in the mid of the process, we could quickly come back and look at it. If people are grumbling, people are sending petitions to the party just before an important event, I, as national organizer, and I agree with you, that if people in the new Patriotic Party take it for granted that because of the incompetence of the NDC, because they are not delivering on their promises, because for the first time in the history of our country, 3 years running, we've not been able to solve one single problem that is a catalyst to our development of our country, and for that reason, power will be given to us on a silver platter. It won't happen. We must show that we are capable, irrespective of the wonderful achievement we chalk for the 8 years that we were in power. You still have to show. As for voters, they are like all of us. In first year or even secondary school economics, they will tell you the satisfaction of one wants brings in other wants. Voters want to see that you are providing credible alternative. You are providing his needs. You are talking to his issues. You understand? So it is not a done deal. Anybody that thinks that way, and I agree with you. And the fact that the outcome of not being able to win an election is also not determined should be clear to everybody. So I, as national organizer, I went in to contest this election to make sure we win the election in 2016 and no other period. You understand? No other period. So I will not, even if this meeting was not called, I would pick my car. I'm as national organizer, nobody pays me for working for the party. I buy my own petrol, I use my own car, do my own maintenance and all that. That's what I do. You understand? I will have picked the car anyway, go around the regions and make sure the right thing is done. There's nothing wrong in also ensuring that all my officers of our party also know the process, who and who are representing us in all the centers of our country, and getting them to go and help supervise activities of the vetting committee in the various regions. So I think that maybe because it has never been done, or we have never known it to have been done, and especially where the response of the general seemed to say that he wasn't aware, that's creating this kind of. But I don't think there's anything amiss, because in addition to the press statement, that there are a lot of other issues that we took. This gives you the guidelines for the primaries, and it goes through meticulously a lot of things that need to be known in order to ensure that we get candidates that are credible, candidates that are eligible, candidates that are suitable, that will win us the election. So I think that we have a duty as officers of our party, we have a duty as members of our party to work in the best interest of our party.
This is Richard.
Okay, John has said a lot, but I'm so back to this point that the meeting has been held. It was not unconstitutional. Decisions have been taken. It is the context that is rather worrying. I don't think that the chairman of the party, it was necessary for the chairman of the party to have traveled, to London to supervise the London one, given that this is a much bigger constituency. All right. And actually, we cannot pretend that all is well in the party, given where the party has come from. At least since, I don't want to go back to 1996 and then the events leading to the ouster of Professor Edubuahin as the leader of the party. Okay? I don't want to go back to all that time. But even from 2007, when we had 17, individuals contesting or candidate contesting for leadership of the party, what I mean, the party was split into 17 groups. And I think since that time, no great efforts have been made to really reconcile various positions in order to form a solid, united, formidable, impregnable party. In fact, even the last elections, what went on?
Well, I mean, now I think
and
you
all
say
the noise and all that.
I mean, now you say that there's two. There's the chairman thing, the Nanado, sort of.
That thing still is still there.
No, so I wouldn't say 17. I would say 2.
Yes. Well, but the point there is that these have implications, for the organization of the party. I mean, for how the party contests the next elections. We have the party. We have meticulous whatever doing the vet. Even the process from the time that you announce the criteria for the selection of candidates, affirmative action plus, as I've indicated, the fees to be paid. They have created their own, disquiet within the party. If I were NPP member, and I'm not a youth, I'm 50, I would have considered myself discriminated against. And somebody is sitting there thinking that the fact that somebody is an MP is still loved in his party. No. In 2012, in many constituencies, certain factors were overlooked just to vote for the party. And like I said, example.
Thank you.
No, excuse me. Now, what the party needs are these things. The party needs organization, a game plan, strategy. And then you need the third one.
Oh, you're talking to the right man.
Yes, and tactics. Okay? Here we are, that the chairman of the party at the Congress was giving such a platform that even the party you claim that the NPP originated from the north, and you expected the chairman of the party to play such a key role in the party's electionary campaign. And we are beginning to see all kinds of things. What are the implications of this for the organization of the party? And of course, that was a representation of the history of the party. NPP has no roots from the north. But be that as it may, I don't think that it's a good sign that the chairman, given what is going on, should behave this way. But we must consider its implication for the organization of the party. And what kind of strategy the party is going to devise as a united, formidable front to contest the elections. Look, PNDC, NDC is a formidable party on the ground. 19 years of PNDC rule and NDC rule, you are taking things for granted. If the party won the 2000 elections, they must go back to the drawing board and then investigate that thoroughly. Invite political scientists, those who claim they know, invite them to do that analysis for them. And at the same time, the party must examine why they lost the 2007 elections.
Okay, Richard,
it is when the party has been able to do these things well that I think they will be able to come up with a good estimation of their prospects for winning the 2016.
I want to take a break and I'll get you to respond on that. So I'll take a quick break and then I'll get the organizer to respond, because I think these are very direct questions. Don't move. Hello, and thank you for staying. Just a few comments on the Facebook platform, and then I come back to the studio. Thank you very much for posting your comments. This is Ezil Mensa Ebenezer. Says every institution has its own problems, whether big or small. Daniel Kojo Ando says we need to solve Dumso for now. That's what's more important. And then this one says that Ampo Fukushi Michael says, I like what the NPP leaders are doing now. Unlike at first being on TV discussing unnecessary issues, today they are talking about their own affair. Thank God. Well, back to the studio. I think you had a few more questions.
Not a few more questions. I like the way Doctor was analyzing it. She tells you he's an academic, telling us what to do. Only that some of the things he's saying are things that we've done already. If you look at 2008 elections, 2000, I was then the National Youth Organizer. We had what we call Dr. Herman's committee that I was a member of it. We've done the analysis, we've done what went wrong, our strengths, our weaknesses, our threats and all that. All those things are good. Like he's saying, we need to have tactics, we need to have strategy. Maybe we'll get him closer so that some of the things that we do.
I'll be your agent. I'll be your agent.
No. Just a quick one.
No. I will allow you.
No. Let him land.
He spoke at length. He spoke at length. And I can see his not fixation, but this on and on about the fees and all that. Yes, sometimes, especially if you are at a certain age, because of the decision and all that, it's worrying. But if you've also been a youth in politics and women in politics, you understand the need for some of these things. All over the world. All over the world. You can't just go because you are a Conservative Party member. As a result, they should shortlist you on their ticket. There are a lot of things that are done. Some of them are discriminatory, everywhere. So as a political scientist, I think that he understands that. Only that maybe the way it's been done here. So it is nothing new. It is nothing different. It is nothing untoward and all that. Maybe going forward, maybe we take some of his suggestions on board, but it's normal process. And that is why the National Executive Committee have a mandate that in areas that there are people, like he's saying, a 55-year-old man who, by our analysis, by his popularity on the ground, is capable of winning the constituency for us. Either we go and even poach him or through waivers and all that. But it must be done properly, so as not to also come back to the same point of discrimination against our own members and all that. And I think that since he himself accepts and by the constitution of the party, and by all, unless of course you don't know that the meeting that was held today was constitutional. The absence of the general secretary did not, in our steering committee, does not invalidate the meeting. The absence of the chair, you see, if you look at the constitution, it is the absence of the chairman and the first vice that will not lead to a steering committee being organized. And if you look at the decisions that were taken, it is in furtherance to directives that have been given by the general secretary in order to fulfill it, in order to have more mandates on the ground, so that issues that arises on the ground will not wait till it comes back to headquarters. Is there
any particular reason why the chairman left? You
see, that's why I didn't want you to speculate that he left because he was going to be part of the election monitoring
in London.
In London, it's not.
Okay.
Because the delegation that went way days ahead before he was. So maybe when he comes out, he will give the actual reason why. Because if we don't do that, and if I don't do that, it will create an impression that the chairman was not mindful of the job at stake. And
apart from ill health, in a so why would he leave? Of course, it's a major thing happening tomorrow.
That means that it's the major thing that sends him there. You understand?
But do you know if he's ill?
No.
Or family member being
far
ill?
Far from that. It's a major thing that sent him there.
Okay.
And I think that that was done. It's even in fulfillment of his mandate as the national chairman. There's nothing. He comes in, I'm told you'll be in by tomorrow or tomorrow next. He has scheduled a meeting for the 12th of May. By then, we might have finished the vetting committee. All the appeals process has been done properly. If there's a need for some waivers, he comes back, we do a steering committee meeting. We will recommend at the steering committee meeting, if it is accepted by the body of a national executive committee, we put before them what has been done through the general secretary and the steering committee. Just as I read to you, that the steering committee acts in matters of urgency on behalf of the National Executive Committee, and they have a mandate to report to the National Executive Committee. So that will also be done, and I think that it is in good measure that we are where we are, in order to make sure that we won't go back to what Dr. Richardson is envisaging, that people should get it correct, that it is not by fluke that we will have to win the election. We have to win the election based on our strategy, based on our tactics, based on our correct planning, based on our discipline and commitment.
Mr. Richard, 1 minute, round it up for me. Yes. I know it's hard for you, but try. 1 minute.
Well, 1 minute.
It's even too much for you. It's even too much.
Yes, the party is going to elections, not going to be easy elections. We have done some analysis on the ground. So from now on, the party must ask itself certain questions relating to organization. I will emphasize the three: organization, strategy, and tactics. And they must have a program. As of now, it appears that the party doesn't have any program on the ground. The president candidate was elected. I'm saying it appears.
Well, that's why. That's why I said the president come closer.
Yes,
and you know some of these.
It appears.
As a political scientist, if we even pair our program, you wouldn't know if you are not closer.
If you are not closer,
you are competing with other people.
Yes, and there were several places that
the president
candidate would not
allow
go in 2012.
Since Dr. Richardson is there, I always sign out with him closing as well. But we'll do part 2 of this. I'll try and get Famous to bring us to do part 2 of this show. So thank you very much, John Boadu. Thank you very much, Dr. Richardson. It's been insightful. And we hope that, when the chairman comes, to be reconciliation and not issuing a statement to say, I disapprove of that meeting. So let us all watch this space. But I think it's going to be harmonious. It's going to be a harmonious one. Well, folks, thank you very much for watching. And tomorrow we'll be back.
Stop asking him some of these questions that will provoke him.
We'll ask him any questions. Tomorrow we'll be back to do this all again. Thank you very much.